about the noise, where legends rise. From the clouds to the crowd, this is Crowd, where Africa meets opportunity, where music meets magic.
All right, guys, welcome once again to another session of our L&D series. And I am your host for this evening, Elias Ayodele. And today we're having a very special person. But before I talk about who we have, today we'll be talking about what African A&Rs need to know about global artist development in 25. And we have in our midst someone who is the head of talent management at Amelia Songs. And, he has a bachelor's degree in music and creative arts as well. He's a passionate music connoisseur and is based in Lagos, Nigeria. I myself have personally met him, and I think he is really resourceful in this matter and topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm presenting to you Ayomide Adetomiwa, who also goes by the name DEUCE, guys. All right. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling great. I'm pretty excited to also be here and to share the little knowledge that I know. You know, I'm happy to share with the world and give a better view of what we are doing out here in Africa.
Amazing. Nice to have you. All right. So, I just like to when we do these sessions, I usually like to just beat around the bush before we get deep into it. So, you see, we're talking about African A&Rs. We're talking about global artist development. I mean, many people don't even know who an A&R is. They just hear A&R,
Right.
A&R. So, I don't know if you want to help us with that, so that people that have little to no clue about that.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay. On the base level, right? A&R is an acronym for artist and repertoire. So it's kind of the person that manages both the artist and their sound. Their catalog, the music that they make, and also the artist. You try to help to navigate and nurture what those two elements in music are chiming out essentially. That's in on the base level. That's who an A&R is. But to go in depth, as are kind of the vehicle in the music industry scape, right? A&Rs are the vehicle to help nurturing, developing, and shaping artists and also the sound that comes out of a particular ecosystem. They just I would like to say they are the white cloth that can be stained. They don't mind getting their hands dirty to sort of help to define what is going on with an artist and also what is going on with the culture of the music. Yeah, so that's pretty much who an A&R is. They're pretty much just everywhere, anywhere, all at once.
That's really interesting. I mean, most people think that it's the artists that do all of these things that you mentioned now. At least now
hmm
that you've said that, I think a number of people now get that. Okay, that's amazing. So, would you say that we have A&Rs in Africa, or we're just having people that are just I'm an A&R, I'm just an A&R? Like, is it like structured? Is it like, okay, yes, you are an A&R here in the African ecosystem?
I'll say it's a mix of both. I think just like every other sector, like not even just sector, but just like every other department in the music industry, there are some frontier people and there's some people that are in it. They're in it because they're in it. You'll definitely find people that are passionate about developing just the global, the general, the ecosystem of African music. You'll find them. They are around. They are inside. But you also find people that are just fronting and just want to kind of, I would say, mirror the life that artists live. I think that's what
Okay.
always gets them to want to, But one thing I'm certain of is even the quote unquote the people that mirror when they get into it, they don't have a choice but to navigate and understand the know-how of what exactly is going on.
Okay.
Yes, it could take time, for those type of people, while for specific like people that are already passionate about it is quicker, but definitely they'll get into it. So I think it works for everybody involved at the end of the day. But yeah, definitely we do have people that A&Rs and people that are just fronting.
All right, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get to it. So, in your experience, what does artist development mean? Especially in 25, and
Right.
because I know that the music industry came from a point of traditional use of systems. Like that's why we have the vinyl players, we have MP3s, we have
Mm-hmm.
cassettes, and some people would go door to door. Check this music out. Some people they sell it at stores and stuff. So I don't know if there is an evolution also to artist development. I mean, and then now that we're in 2025, so how does walk us take us through it?
Okay, so artist development, right, is one of the many roles of an A&R. It used to, essentially used to be the only, but I wouldn't say only, but the major role of an A&R. But it's on in big 25 since levels are changing, things are changing. But the base of it, artist development is kind of helping, or just the process of helping an artist define, develop, and nurture their unique talent, which is the music, chiming out that music that they are known for or good for. Helping them to discover what works and what doesn't work with regards to music itself, just from their vocal texture to the way they deliver the music to understanding the culture of what is happening around the music, and now they can translate that into their talent. Because these artists, let me tell you something, right? These artists they are probably already good, they are great, but they just need
Mm,
somebody to help them navigate, the what's it called, the ecosystem of what the music is speaking and the culture. So to help them to navigate that and develop that and create that, formidable sound that is the artist, they need to go through something that they call artist development. And artist development can happen at any, what's it called, timeline of an artist's career. It doesn't just necessarily have to just be only the beginning. In between, you might want to develop something else and grow into something else sonically. So you need the help of an A&R to help you navigate that, and help to build a sonic experience that is also still appealing to your people and also new people that would tap into because you're changing your sound. But in 25, man, a lot has been happening, right? Music wise, and just pretty much the world is a small village right now. So everybody, there's proximity, pretty much amongst the people of the world, right? So artist development has become like I like to call it a 360 strategy. So aside even helping them to shape their sound, you
mm,
know, you're helping them to define their brand identity. You're helping them to shape their content creation game. You're helping them to
mm,
build community. You're helping them to be
okay,
more digitally fluent,
mm,
with all
mm,
the various digital platforms that you have, showcasing who you are as an artist, and what you are as a brand. So artists have become very impactful to the culture, dare I say. So they are even culture themselves. Like
mm.
this guy, like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I'm the businessman. Because artists have become that, they are not just musicians anymore. They've become that entity that can even shape culture at large. So A&Rs, or artist development rather, have to go in line with that. So yes, pretty much that's.
Okay, that was really you broke it down to us. So I think from what you've said now so far, we are seeing that the A&Rs are basically like businessmen that are coming to package. They're trying to
Mm,
like package, bring. It's like when you're trying to like harvest certain products, and then there is this man that is like, this is cassava, but I'm seeing Gary. I mean, that was so local because I
mm-hmm.
mean we're talking about African. You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah.
So it's more like the once the A&R does not have a vision, it is very possible that it affects the artist, right?
Yes,
Mm,
certainly. I mean, for the first base, right, for an artist is to get somebody that helps them to define that. So if that person does not
mm,
have a vision, there's gonna be a problem already. So certainly, the A&R has to have a vision, has to also be, I would say, ethnomusically inclined, right? In the
mm,
sense that
mm,
they have to understand the culture of the music, especially in their region. Most
mm,
especially, you have to be vast, for in every region, but most especially in your region, you have to be an ethnomusicologist. You feel me, and understand the culture of what the sound is saying, and also what the culture is speaking. Because it's not just the sound; it's the fashion, it's the art, it's the, you feel me, it's the
mm, mm,
dances, it's even down to food.
mm.
You feel me? So you kind of have to understand the
Yeah,
culture
yeah, yeah.
and how it translates to the music. And if
Okay.
you do not understand that, and also have a holistic vision, man, you might be doing a lot of damage, not just to, forget about yourself for a second. This is why I said A&Rs are like they are white clothes. Forget about yourself. You are
Mm,
shaping something bigger than you. You feel me? So it's
mm, mm,
detrimental to
mm,
that thing that you're shaping that is bigger than you, and
mm.
you are more or less failing. An ecosystem. So you definitely have to have a vision. Also, you have to be grinded or grounded rather in ethnomusicology of the culture of your region.
All right. Thanks so much. Okay, so I have this question. we see that the African music industry and ecosystem, it's
Mm-hmm.
just trying to get structured these days. It's trying to get
Mm-hmm.
organized. So you must have noticed and observed that there is a way artists are developed in the global markets, and then the way
Mm-hmm.
artists are developed here in Africa. So how can we bridge these gaps? How can we, like, African A&Rs, how can we close this gap?
Right, it's crazy. But the biggest gap we have is funds, is money. So it's almost like you have to go and look for money. But that's layman's term, right? I think there are some gaps, right? Infrastructure is the biggest gap, right? Infrastructure is the biggest gap. Also, I'd say data literacy too is also a gap. Understanding data and how it translates to the music and how it can influence the music. So starting with the infrastructures, right? In the global market already, artists are benefiting from like a proper structure, a proper ecosystem that can help them to develop and house their music. I'm talking about artists now, right? And because that structure is there, right? I wouldn't say A&R have it easy, but it's seamless for them to be able to curate what they do pretty much and how they do it. But over here, almost like we are bootstrapping, we are winging both the artists, both the A&Rs, the what's it called again? The marketing departments, the managers, the even the legal personnel. It's crazy that we are just really just bootstrapping. But I think what we can do is to kind of create like a long-term plans that would help to house these artists. If it's creating like a situation where we can kind of create an incubator that can be VC funded, you feel me? Because we need funds to also be able to build this infrastructure, right? We need funds to be able to build the infrastructure. So create like those mini ecosystems that translate into the larger ecosystem of the music industry. Create them, pitch them, get funds, and start incubating artists in the right way. Because if we don't have funds, like we are still going to keep bootstrapping. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that have to eat. You feel me? There are a lot of people that have to eat. But aside the infrastructure, right? We also need to
Yeah.
understand digital data. Again, like I said, the world is a small village. You feel me? As much as we are culturally
Yeah.
intuitive, right? We have to understand data, digital data, and what digital data is saying. There's a lot that is going on in the streets that we can pick from, but also go into tap into data tools, like chat metric, vibrate. I want to even give a shout out to Akiemi Law that introduced her and my colleagues, all of us that work at Amelia Songs to vibrate. It's something that has helped us to understand the ecosystem and understand the moments, in the ecosystem and what is happening right now, what is not happening right now, understand what is going on with the sound and in real time, you feel me? So that it is faster for people to be able to channel their creative mind to shaping something that is greater than what we have here. You feel me? So we have to be data literate, digital data literate, to be specific. Not just even digital data, but also on ground data. You have to go out there and there are a lot of artist activation events we have. Let me talk about Lagos, for example. We have Kerry and Cam, we have Indie Nights, we have a lot of mini, events that happen that activate artists, activate producers, activate DJs. We have to tap into these events, go for them. Most of them are always free. Go there, listen to the music, see how people are enjoying the music, look at what is working and what's not working, and also build relationship. This is another thing that I think we can also use to close the gap is building long-term relationships and not just having contacts in your phone that you can tap value from. The relationships rather that we create, we should be able to figure out or navigate a way that we also give value. So it's not like we are just getting value from people and getting what we want from people, but also create an ecosystem where we are valuable to even the people that are on our contact list. That way, you're building a long-term relationship. You feel me? It's not just I need this, I need that, help me do this and help me do that. But I want to even help you to like table it, put it on the table that I have this, I'm an expert in this and that, and I can help you to do this. If you need that help, let me know. That way, you're building long-standing relationship. And if you can be data literate, if you can create a better infrastructure, and if we can build a sustainable ecosystem of relationships, I think industry is going to be in a better place for it.
That was really exciting. As upcoming artists mentioned that, hey, fund is an issue and things like that. I mean, this even
Hmm.
explains why we have. It feels like we have half baked branding strategies for artists,
Mhm.
because you know I personally have been able to look at the creative industry, and I see that, especially with the economy of things now in Nigeria, as a case study, it is very expensive to achieve certain artistic visions and goals.
Mhm.
And if we're going to compete globally, we are already disadvantaged, but that is still not an excuse,
Mhm.
right? So how can we go about
Mhm.
this? I mean, for people that are coming up by themselves and trying to, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the government, as much as the government, the involvement of the government will help a lot. We also cannot kind of wait for them to be ready for us. At the same time, we
Right.
cannot wait for them to be ready for us. But they will definitely be ready for us. And they will definitely help us to, because see, the African entertainment is the biggest export out of Africa. You feel me? So
Yes.
they are definitely going to catch up. But even before then, I think we too we are trying to look for the way. But I think the biggest way is partnering with like global platforms and intentionally
Mhm.
partnering with global platforms. Those are the best way because again, the eyes of the world at large, is on us. You feel me? So there is their eyes on us, and we need to take that. We need to take the culture to the world and pitch
Mm,
pretty much. So
mm,
we have to partner with global platforms, tell our story, and make sure they see the vision of what we're trying to
division.
build. But at the same time, it has to start from home. You feel me? We have to
Mm,
want to be ready to do that. Like we already mentioned,
okay.
earlier in this interview, there are people that are fronting, and there are people that are, if the people
Mm,
that are serious can also convert the people that are fronting, we have more people in the ecosystem to help to navigate. But there should we have to be able to convert, everyone and anyone that are going to be involved in being serious about the ecosystem, and that way, we can be able to seamlessly partner with global platforms, and they will also be able to take us serious. Because I don't want to mention, but there are already telling cases, real time cases, recent cases where they are almost not taking us serious anymore. But I know that we can change that. I know it's something that we can change. I don't want to go into details of what
mm.
that is, but I definitely know it's something that we can change. We just have to come together and create that start from the local market and build the structure back again into, there was a time where in the 90s when we were listening to after Civil War, right? We kind of stopped enjoying our own music and we're listening to international music, right? In the late 90s into early 2000s, and there was yeah, and there was something that happened that became a thing where we put a threshold on the music that the international music that we listen to, and we started listening to 80% Nigerian music. On the radio, that year, I mean, the digital world has not started, so it was just radio. It was pretty much just radio and TV that was serving us, and then you go to Alaba and then you buy CDs. You feel me, and you get CDs. Those are the things that were serving us, and it became a thing where 80% of the music that we're consuming was Nigerian music, and I think that
Mhm.
has impacted us a lot into growing to where we are at now.
Mm,
You feel me? Especially
mm,
for Nigerian music, it has helped us to get to where we are at now, and that's why the world is looking at us. And we shouldn't mess up. At the end of the day, we shouldn't mess up. We should come back home and try to create a little bit of more structure, make it stable, and export it, and go back again, and go back to the almost like coming back to the drawing board, and before we push again.
actually makes a lot of sense. I think this even explains the collaborations that we've been seeing. It tells us, it wakes us, everybody's talking about there's so much money being pumped into Afrobeats
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So I
Mhm.
think that brings us to this question. How important is data today in identifying and nurturing talent? And how should African A&Rs balance data-driven decision making with cultural intuition?
Again, like we already mentioned, right? The world has become a small village, and it's because of the digital ecosystem, the advent of the digital ecosystem. So data is now kind of a core, you know, part but it's kind of still, like you mentioned, it's kind of still only half, even if not less than half of the story, because cultural institution is still vital. As much as data has been driving a lot now, you feel me? And not even just in the music, but in every other ecosystem. But cultural institution cannot be underutilized and underemphasized because, especially in Africa, because in this part of the world, right? Most of our quote unquote trend starts on the street. It starts in churches. It starts in campuses.
Yeah.
It starts in neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just I'm just upping on TikTok and doing a dance and that would go viral. A particular community have already accepted it somewhere. And even before it begins to go viral, it has to have been quote
For sure.
unquote blown in the church. It has to be blown already on one particular street, quote unquote. It has to be blown in Unilag or in UI. You feel me? And it already has caught
Yeah.
fire in real life, before it comes to
Mm.
catch fire,
It's
on
converted.
the internet. So this is why you still have to be grounded in the culture, besides, just pulling out data and using data to spot things. The best A&Rs have to be able to balance both. I like to say that your cultural intuition, like you say, is kind of the vehicle, the actual vehicle, and data is kind of just like the wheel.
Okay. Thank you so much. A&R has a lot to do so that the artist does not take backlashes for things that it should not face. The
Huh.
question I asked the last time, I was talking about what skills will define the next generation of top tier A&Rs on the continent. So let's hear what your thoughts as regards that.
Right. Okay. So I mean, already we've even kind of touched on, for every question, we've kind of touched on some of the skills, right? We already
Mm.
mentioned cultural intuition, so
Yeah.
you have to understand, like we said, ethnomusicology, understand the music and its culture of your local market, understand it
Right.
wholeheartedly. You also have to be digitally fluent. You have to understand data and its analysis.
Mm.
Analyzing data is very key. You also have to, third one I'll mention is building long-term relationships.
Mm.
Having the skill to building relationship, like engineering relationship. You also have to have creative direction skills. You must be creative and understand, like you already understand the music and its culture. So being creative in helping artists to identify and shape, their identity, their visuals, storytelling and whatnot is key. You also have to be, just generally in life, you also have to be emotionally intelligent to be able to understand what everybody, the stakeholders of the industry are, understand the mindset of the stakeholders of all the industry, both the artists, to the managers, to the partners, international partners that you have. You have to kind of be able to understand, feelings. You feel me? So these are kind of the skills. You also have to have like business literacy. You feel me? Especially in music business, you have to understand contracts. You have to understand split
Mm.
royalties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Advocating for artists, producers, and songwriters, and everybody are getting a fair deal. You have to understand
Mm.
the in total, pretty much of being an A&R. But even aside all of this, right? Because A&R goes beyond just understanding all of this. A&R can be the little things. You feel me? If you look at the two cases I'll just bring up is Ashake and also Rema, right? If you look at Ashake, right?
Mm.
Ashake is a perfect example of somebody that stayed true to himself. I've known Ashake for a long time, I've listened to Ashake's music even before 2022, when I think late 2021 into 2022, when he rose to fame, you know, and rising to fame. I think he released Omokwe. Before Omokwe, I mean, it was Mr. Money that became something, beautiful. But he did that in the independent, right? And then he gave us Omokwe, right? And then Olamide signed him, and he released a tape called Asake EP, and he had 4 songs I think on the tape, and none of the songs sounded alike. None of the songs sounded alike. Sungba became something insane. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sungba became something insane. Had a remix with Burna Boy, and then all of a sudden, he started making music that kind of feels like Sungba, and everybody even started calling him Sungba Man. But it worked because it might have been a simple advice from somebody on his team. It could be Olamide himself, simple advice that you see this sound way you do. They'll probably speak Pidgin. You see this sound way you do, run am again. Run
Mm.
am again, run am another time. It's that simple thing that became the Asake that we know now. Just simple as run am again. Factually, there's a possibility that it would have been just as big even if he did not do the same thing again. But there's also a possibility that it wouldn't have. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So just that simple thing, you wouldn't say in the actual term of it. The person that actually gave him that advice, again, like I said, it could have been Olamide easily. But the person that gave him that advice, you wouldn't even say is outrightly an A&R, but in that way, shape, or form, that person has done something that an A&R should be doing. That
Mm,
advice might not have come from data, it might have just come from, ooh, this sound, what is this? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what exactly is this?
yeah.
Obviously, my piano was already a monster genre of music. Also, mixing
Mm-hmm.
that element with Nigerian pop Fuji. I call it,
Yeah.
it's Fuji garbage pretty much. Mixing it with Fuji made so much sense to everybody's ears. It felt refreshed, it felt new. And Asake could have easily just done something else after that. He has been doing music for 10 years before then, he has been doing music. So he could have easily done another sound. But somebody probably told him, do this sound again, make this type of music again. And then he gave us Palazzo. And they're like, Palazzo worked so much. I think Palazzo is my favorite Asake song ever. And then after Palazzo, they said, do it again. I give us peace be unto you. And they probably had an arsenal of songs that they've made that is in that line. Palazzo was probably very poppy. The original version must have been Afro pop. Some other songs too, the original versions must have been some other type of subgenre of Afrobeat. But they decided to bring it. Even Joha was already a song initially, that was something else. It was pretty much just
Yeah.
straight up Fuji garbage with a little bit of Alujo. But they decided to bring everything to that root
To work.
that is, you feel me? And it was rooted. He understood that everybody on the team understood what they needed to do and how, rooted they needed to be able to even push it globally. Rema is kind of an opposite case of what Ashake is doing, and both of them are winning at the same time. Rema
Mm-hmm.
attacked global market, as early as he could. You feel me? He attacked the global market as early as he could. And in real time, we were seeing artist development work in real time with Rema. His brand identity was key in helping to shape that. It was making, they used to call him Indian sound, right? The Indian man. But he was making that sound, initially, and it worked for him. And then you could see him grow and shape into a more darker sound. It was more gloomy with it. His brand was also telling that story. Dare I say, Rema himself, is a genius in his mind. So, some of these decisions might have come from him, but notwithstanding, his team helped to develop what that is, and, nurture what that is and develop what that is into what it has become, globally. So I say this to say that you have to kind of be grounded in understanding music and its culture. That is the biggest thing you can do as an A&R, understanding music and its culture. The global world, especially Nigerians, we know how to, because of how intuitive we are and also how accommodating we are, we know how to blend everyone else's sound with our sound to make ours. You feel me? To
Yeah.
create something.
And
So
not
we
get
tapped
caught.
into Amapiano and not get caught, right? But yes, we tapped into Amapiano. Yes, the world is tapping into Amapiano. But if you go to South Africa, they stayed true to what is Amapiano. They stayed at the core, but kept globalizing that and kept telling their story in some way, shape, or form. So the A&Rs in this part of the world kind of also have to be culture curators. They have to be able to tell the story, but you cannot tell the story if you don't understand the the the
Culture.
ground and the culture of what music is. So you have to understand it to be able to tell the story. I feel like everybody needs to hear this. Everybody that wants to, the people that are fronting and the people that are passionate about being an A&R, they need to hear all these nuggets that we are chiming out and the skills that they can tap into to be able to be great at what they do and help shape bigger ecosystems. You feel me?
This session has been really exciting. I thought I knew about A&Rs until now, man. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I don't know. I think
Yes, sir.
to round off this session, I'd like to ask for your advice. Advice to people that trying to make a name for themselves. I don't know if you have advice to emerging African A&Rs, people that want to make names for themselves before we round off this
hmm
series. Yeah. So.
The advice I would even give out is just to the music industry at large, but specifically the A&Rs. Three things, right? Stay grounded, be patient, and be transparent. Find a specific talent that you feel like you can build with and work with, but just stay grounded and stay true to the game. You feel me? Don't lose your course. Also be patient, because it's going to take time. You feel me? It's going to take time. Good things take time, like they say. You feel me? And be able to build relationship that is of value to other people, not just that is of value to you as well. If you can stick to these three things, amongst other things that my mind is not waving into right now, but just try and stick to these three things and a lot of other things. Also, be ethno musically inclined. That is
Mhm.
key. That is very key. Understanding music and its culture is very key. Understanding the sound and its culture is very key in the music industry.
All right. Thank you so much for the advice. Me to have fixed my advice. Now I'm going to be listening, widely, and
Do
I think
research. Literally, oh, any no, that's fact. Anybody can be an A&R. Don't let them gatekeep A&R for you. Anybody can be an
mm,
A&R, but you have
mm,
to want to do the work. You don't have to front. Don't let them
mm,
gatekeep A&R in. I know that it's saturated now, and there's a lot of
yeah.
people. There's a lot of people fronting, and so it's breaking the game. You feel me? But at the
Mm,
same time, we have to be able to make sure that it's open to anyone and everyone, so that
mm,
we can be
mm.
able to have more people that are serious about this
Serious
thing.
about
If we
it.
start gatekeeping it, it
Yeah.
will be detrimental for everybody.
Right, all right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for your time. By the way,
Yes,
if you
sir.
missed it, this is one of the biggest in the industry. If you have questions, you can follow us across platforms, Instagram,
Yes,
Twitter,
sir.
so we can send your questions across to Mr. Yomide, and then he gives us your answers. We send your answers to you, and if you want a one-on-one
Yeah,
session, we'll find a way to make that work. All right. Thank you so much. Do I enjoy your day?
and you too.
Yes. All
Cheers.
right.